चलो
बोलना सर एक बार।
हेलो 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 स्टार्ट है।
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good evening everyone. Welcome to the DTRS class of 1 to 6. So today we have selected our lead topic as the PM JANMAN scheme. So we will study about this, that what is basically this JANMAN scheme. Now before moving towards that, we are going to start with one quotation. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. So basically, not only for your job but for every life, and if you are doing any task in your life and if you are enjoying that task, definitely that is going to create a benchmark and you will excel. So there are thousands and thousands of examples are there in our history, in our life, where people have not run after where the people were running, or the majority of people were running. Rather, whatever the natural talent they had, whatever liking they had towards any task or towards any work, they have performed that and they have excelled in life. Thousands of examples are there. Now, why I have selected this quote? Basically, sometimes during your UPSC preparation, you will feel that you are not, sometimes you find it boring. Sometimes you find it, if you are not able to remember anything, if your answer is not good and you get some kind of bad remarks, if you are not able to perform that much, so you find that thing don't you take in a positive manner. But the thing is that if you understand the goodness, if you understand the positives of this UPSC examination and the world which you are going to enter, then you will find that lots of things are there to remember. For example, one thing I will quote here is that if we talk about our education system, then it makes us to focus towards one thing. First of all, you have larger subject, then you took one subject, and within that one subject you took smaller parts. But look at the dimension of the UPSC. It is not asking you to look only go for that subject in which you are very much good. It is also asking you to reach to a level where you are not favoring other subjects. Okay, so that is why, and how this can be achieved. This can only be achieved if you have a positive attitude towards your life or towards whatever you work. Okay, so that way, so keep this in mind, that enjoy the whatever the task you do in your life. Okay, now as far as the question is concerned, so from 10 MCQ from PM JANMAN scheme and going up to the sugar production, these are the questions. So one by one we will start. So consider the following statement in the context of PM JANMAN scheme. It is an umbrella scheme comprising 11 sector schemes. It is an umbrella scheme comprising 11 central sector schemes. So as far as if we talk about this scheme, yes, Gari Khamma. So as far as these schemes are concerned, it is not only a combination of central sector scheme. The statement is saying it is an umbrella scheme comprising 11 sector schemes. There are 11 components are there, but they are not only central sector scheme, but there is a combination of central sponsored scheme also. So this 11 is having the combination of central sector schemes and the central sponsored scheme also. Remember this, combination of two kinds of schemes are there for this PM JANMAN scheme. So this statement is incorrect. Odisha is the state which is with the highest number of people from PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal group. So yes, if we talk about this statement is correct as far as the report is concerned. 29th November of every year is celebrated as the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. Now, if you remember the date, then 15th November basically is celebrated as the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. So even the second option is, this third option is also incorrect. 15th November is celebrated as the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. So here what do we find? First statement is incorrect, third is incorrect, only second is correct. Now as far as this scheme is concerned, basically for the PVTGs, this particularly vulnerable tribal group, this scheme has been launched. It is not only one ministry but multiple ministries are partnered to this umbrella scheme. Okay, so this is as far as the current affair is concerned. Now you can link this question with your static portion also. How you can, which subject? Basically you can link it with your history. Okay, so here you can prepare all the tribal revolts which are there, which are very much important in the Indian history. Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, why basically it is celebrated? To highlight the effort of the tribals, basically Birsa Munda, what role these tribal people had played towards the Indian independence, that is reflected through this Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. Okay, it is also known as the Jayanti of the Birsa Munda also. So what do we find here? Only one statement is correct. Okay, so these are the things which all of you need to prepare. So cabinet, recently this scheme has been approved. Now how or what is the tendency of the UPSC towards this scheme? Now many times I have told and I keep repeating that it is very much important that obviously due to the Digital India mission, whatever data is there, the government creates a website, a web page is there, and in which it tries to put all the information there. So you need to visit that website also and study about in depth about this scheme, that for whom it is oriented, what is the funding pattern, where it is going to be implemented, which ministry, how the organization is there. So study in detail about this also. Okay. Now moving towards next question. Consider the following statement regarding the carbon capture, utilization and storage. It refers to a range of application in which CO2 is captured and is used directly or indirectly. So as the name itself suggests, carbon capture, utilization and storage, it is an international initiative basically to limit the carbon emission. So it refers to a range of application in which CO2 captured is used directly or indirectly. So this statement is correct. CO2 captured through CCUS leads to emission reduction. Now here in this statement there is a catch. See, only by capturing the emission, that will not lead to reduction in emission. But rather from where the source of emission is there, you have to control that. Only then emission will be controlled. So here there is a catch. You will say that we are capturing the carbon. No. Basically, if the industry today is producing suppose X amount of emission, and in the next day it is doing X plus 1 amount of emission, then it is not leading to reduction in emission. So all of you need to keep this in mind, that basically we try to divert it, whatever it has been whatever the emission has been done, we try to utilize it in a much more better way. But again, when we are utilizing, again there is some kind of emission. So in total what we find, the emission is always higher. So it will not lead to emission, but rather changes had to be occur at the ground level. So for example, if any industry is there, whether you are using any thermal power plant, so you change it from thermal power plant, you would go towards the renewable energy, only then emission will get reduced. So using this will not, it will lead to yes some kind of reduction in the total volume, but not the complete leads to emission reduction. Emission reduction is basically about the source, whether from the source it is getting reduced or not. Okay, so this statement is incorrect. In India, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is responsible to nurture the area of CCUS. So again this statement is incorrect. The Department of Science and Technology, that is responsible for the CCUS. Okay, remember this, Ministry of Environment, Forest has no role in it. The Department of Science and Technology is responsible to nurture the area of this CCUS. So again, what do we find? These two statements are incorrect. Answer is option A. Okay. Now, which of the following judgment of the Supreme Court of India has directed the Election Commission to frame guidelines? Which of the following judgments of the Supreme Court of India has directed the Election Commission to frame guideline with regard to the content of election manifesto in consultation with all the recognized political parties? So recently there it was in news. We will see that. Now, as far as the answer is concerned, the correct answer for this is the D. Subramaniam Balaji versus Government of Tamil Nadu and others. So very much important judgment. All these judgment are landmark judgment with respect to the election in India. And apart from this, as far as the demand of the question is concerned, that with regard to the content of election manifesto, basically there is always a, political parties, in order to win, they try to give many extraordinary, some catchy slogans, some catchy demands in their manifesto, which is not possible. Some many things dimension are there. So basically this Supreme Court, under this judgment, it has ordered the Election Commission of India to develop a certain kind of guideline. Okay, and based upon that, it has developed certain guideline. The Election Commission has developed some guideline that within that framework and parameter, any political party should release its manifesto. So here for this you need to remember this judgment. Okay. Now, as far as the context of the question is concerned, so EC asks Karnataka to stop welfare scheme ads in Telangana newspaper. So that is basically how you try to woo the voters. That is the context. Now, recently researchers have discovered India's first early Cretaceous shark fossil in which of the following state? So recently it has made news. So basically in the Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, this species has been discovered. So the correct answer is option C. Okay, these are some fact based questions are there which you need to remember. Okay, so this year old shark fossil discovered in Jaisalmer, recently the research has been done. Okay, now in the context of coronal mass ejection, consider the following statement. Coronal mass ejection. Occurrence of solar flare is must for CME, that is the coronal mass ejection. So basically it means that solar flare, basically what is solar flare? Basically it means the explosion which occurs on the sun's surface and huge amount of energy is released and then this CME happens. But if we study this phenomena, many time or in general the CMEs are ejected with the solar flares, but there are many simultaneous or many isolated events are also there in which solar flares will not be there but CME is ejected. Okay, so it is not always dependent upon the solar flares. So this statement is incorrect. CME are the causing factor behind the northern and the southern auroral lights. Now again this statement is also incorrect. Basically the CME causes certain kind of geomagnetic storms and other substorms. Okay, सर हिंदी मीडियम में क्लास नहीं है. मैं चाहूँ तो ठीक है, इसे मैं चाहे तो थोड़ा से बाइलिंगुअल में रख सकता हूँ, लेकिन फिर आपके लिए दिक्कत ये होगा कि ये जो वर्ड्स हैं इसे हमें सिर्फ इंग्लिश में ही रखना पड़ेगा. अगर आप फिर इसमें आपको डिस्कम्फर्टेबल होगा कि आपको एग्जैक्ट वर्ड नहीं मिल पाएगा, तो इशू ये है. ठीक है, तो जहां जहां अगर आपको नहीं समझ में आता है तो वहां पे मैं आपके लिए कर सकता हूं, बट प्रेफरेबली आप लैंग्वेज देख ही सकते हैं कि इट इज इन इंग्लिश मीडियम ओनली. ओके, सो अगर आपको चाहिए तो हम ले सकते हैं क्लासेस, इसमें कोई इशू नहीं है, वी कैन डू दैट. ओके हिंदी में भी आपके 10 करंट अफेयर्स लिए जा सकते हैं, देयर इज नो इशू टू दैट. ठीक है. CME are the causing factor behind the northern and the southern auroral lights. So as far as the answer of this question is concerned, this statement is also incorrect. CME causes certain kind of geomagnetic storm and that geomagnetic storms lead to this phenomena of this auroral lights. ये ज्योग्राफी में आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा, how in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere we have done in our class also. साउदर्न और नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर में कैसे हम लाइट्स का प्रोडक्शन होता है. ठीक है. दिस ऑरोरल लाइट इज देयर, ऑरोरा बोरेलिस एंड ऑरोरा ऑस्ट्रेलिस इज देयर. सो बेसिकली CME डज नॉट कॉज दैट. CME causes certain kind of geomagnetic storm and other substorm that leads to this auroral lights. So both the statement are incorrect. Okay. So answer is option D. Remember that. Next question. Consider the following statement about the X-ray polarimeter satellite XPOSat. XPOSat mission. It aims to lay the foundation of space-based X-ray astronomy in India. The XPOSat spacecraft will be placed in low Earth orbit. सो अगर हम पहले स्टेटमेंट के बारे में अगर बात करें, इट एम्स टू ले द फाउंडेशन ऑफ स्पेस बेस्ड एक्सरे एस्ट्रोनॉमी इन इंडिया. दिस स्टेटमेंट इज इनकरेक्ट. द फाउंडेशन ऑफ एक्सरे बेस्ड एस्ट्रोनॉमी इज ऑलरेडी देयर इन इंडिया. एक्सरे के बारे में पढ़ना बेस्ड अपॉन दैट स्पेस रिसर्च, जो यूनिवर्स में जो एक्सरेज होते हैं उनके बारे में स्टडी करना, उनको मैपिंग करना, इट इज ऑलरेडी देयर एंड इंडियन स्पेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज ऑलरेडी वर्किंग अपॉन दैट. नाउ इन दिस मिशन there is one forward step. What is that one forward step? Basically to study the polarization of the X-ray. So polarization basically means क्या है होगा इसके context में, उसके magnetic behavior को और magnetic characteristic को study करना. X-ray के magnetic behavior को study करना, that is. So it aims to lay the foundation. Foundation मतलब क्या कि पहली बार इस पूरे के पूरे डोमेन के बारे में हम कर नहीं, इस मिशन में ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग है, उसमें एक नया पॉइंट ऐड किया गया है. व्हाट इज दैट न्यू पॉइंट? स्टडिंग द पोलराइजेशन. सो दिस स्टेटमेंट इज इनकरेक्ट. द एक्सपोसैट स्पेसक्राफ्ट विल बी प्लेस्ड इन लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट. हाँ, ये चीज सही है. बेसिकली इमेजिंग के पर्पज से, सैटेलाइट्स से अगर हम किसी चीज का अगर इमेज अगर लेना चाहते हैं, वी ऑलवेज ट्राई टू कीप दैट इन लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट. ओके. मैंने क्लास में कई सारे अदर क्लासेस में बताया भी है लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट क्या होता है, जियो स्टेशनरी ऑर्बिट क्या होता है. सो जब भी हम इमेजिंग के लिए अगर सैटेलाइट्स को अगर प्लेस करते हैं तो लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट सैटेलाइट में प्लेस किया जाता है. सो हियर द आंसर इज ऑप्शन बी. ओके. Now, so this is the India set to launch its first X-ray polarimeter satellite ISRO. Okay, so this is the context of the answer. Now, the term Fateh-2 recently seen in the news refers to a hypersonic ballistic missile, a chronic disease, a gene that makes plant pest resistant, a new digital technology. So here the correct answer is a hypersonic ballistic missile. Basically, Fateh-2 is it of Iran. ठीक है. रिसेंटली इट वॉज इन न्यूज. नाउ हाउ यू कैन रिलेट दिस टॉपिक टू योर GS प्रिपरेशन. स्पेशली आपने यहाँ पे क्या देखा हुआ है, आपको कीवर्ड क्या मिल रहा है? हाइपरसोनिक बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल. तो हाइपरसोनिक क्या होता है, सुपरसोनिक क्या होता है, सबसोनिक क्या होता है, ये जो साउंड के बेसिस पे क्लासिफिकेशन किया जाता है, दैट इज द वन थिंग टू स्टडी फ्रॉम योर कोर साइंस पोर्शन. बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल, बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल, तो मिसाइल का क्लासिफिकेशन किस बेसिस पे होता है? क्रूज मिसाइल कैसे होते हैं, बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल्स कैसे होते हैं, इंडिया में कौन कौन से मिसाइल्स हैं जो कि बैलिस्टिक इन नेचर हैं, क्रूज इन नेचर है, जो इंपॉर्टेंट मिसाइल्स हैं. 1 ईयर या 1.5 ईयर में जिन बैलिस्टिक या क्रूज मिसाइल्स का जो न्यूज में अगर रहे हुए होंगे तो आप उनको यू ट्राई टू कवर दैट. ओके. एंड इवन इफ यू वांट टू स्टडी सम मोर इंफॉर्मेशन बेस्ड अपॉन दिस मिसाइल सिस्टम, जस्ट राइट मिसाइल सिस्टम, आपको वेबसाइट पे मिल जाएगा. ओरिजिनल गवर्नमेंट का वेबसाइट है, यू विल जस्ट फाइंड इट एंड यू विल गेट इट इन्फॉर्मेशन. ओके, तो इस टॉपिक को ये नेशनल इंटरनेशनल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में तो है ही, बट आप इसे इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी पढ़िए. ठीक है, ट्राई टू स्टडी दिस हाइपरसोनिक बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल. So this is the context of the question. Now, which of the following statement correctly explains the meaning of currency demand paradox? Currency demand paradox often heard in the news. Now, as far as this currency demand paradox is concerned, so we have 4 options, and here the correct answer is option B. Currency in circulation rises even if the digital transaction goes up. So generally the government thinks what? हम ये सोचते हैं कि अगर डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन अगर इंक्रीज करेगा, इफ द डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन इज इंक्रीजिंग इन आवर इकोनॉमी, दैट विल लीड टू अ लेस डिमांड ऑफ द कैश. बट दैट इज नॉट द थिंग. रिसेंटली आरबीआई ने अपना एक रिपोर्ट निकाला है और उसका एक थीम ये टाइटल था, एंड इन विच इट हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट. नाउ you have understood the meaning of this context, currency demand paradox. So basically it refers that even if the digitalization of the currency is there, still the demand of the notes and coins is there in the economy, and even it is increasing. Extra इसमें पढ़ने का क्या जरूरत है? एक तो ये रिपोर्ट आरबीआई ने निकाला है, that is the first thing. The second thing is why does it happens and what are its possible implications. क्यों होता है और उसके क्या परिणाम होंगे, इन 2 चीजों को ध्यान में जरूर रखना. वी हैव गिवन इट इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द फाइल, रीड अबाउट इट, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इट. ओके, सो आंसर इज ऑप्शन बी. सो दिस इज द कॉन्टेक्स्ट, आरबीआई ऑफिशियल्स. नाउ क्वेश्चन नंबर 9. विथ रेफरेंस टू द फास्ट ट्रैक स्पेशल कोड कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट. Fast track courts were first recommended by the 10th Finance Commission. Fast track court basically to expedite the court process, or basically to solve the backlog cases which are there in the judicial system. These fast track courts are set up. So they were first recommended by the 10th Finance Commission. No, this information is incorrect. First of all, it was recommended by the 11th Finance Commission. Remember that. It was recommended first by the 11th Finance Commission. Setting up a fast track court and its functioning lies within the domain of the state government. Yes, this statement is right. Basically, the state government in consultation with the High Court set up this fast track court. Okay. So here what do we find? Only statement 2 is correct. Okay. This is related to your polity also. So you can study the judicial system, how it works in the state. Okay, so that you can revise and link with that topic. Now going up towards the last question, consider the following statement. India is the second largest consumer and producer of sugar globally. India is the market leader in the eastern hemisphere of the sugar market. India is the 3rd largest country in the world in ethanol production after the USA and Brazil. Now as far as the first statement is concerned, India is the 2nd largest consumer. नहीं, India is the first or the largest consumer of sugar globally. ठीक है, और होना भी चाहिए. इसको ऐसे भी याद रख लेना कि हमारा फिलॉसफी है वासुदेव कुटुंबकम, तो हमारे अंदर में मीठापन ज़्यादा है. So that is why we are the largest consumer of the sugar in the world. Yes, and as far as the producer is concerned, we are 2nd. Brazil is in the top list of producing the sugar globally. India is the market leader in the eastern hemisphere for the sugar market. This statement is correct. Now basically there is an international organization which is known as the International Sugar Organization, the overarching body for this keeping or this entire export, development and all other thing which is related to sugar market. Now it has divided the entire or the producing country on the basis of hemisphere, west hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere. So in the western hemisphere it is the Brazil which is the leading producer, and in the eastern hemisphere it is the India which is the leading producer. Okay, so this statement is there. And one additional thing all of you have to prepare in the context of this question is the International Sugar Organization. ठीक है, जस्ट वेबसाइट पे डालना है और इसके जो ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट है उस पे जाना है. ऑलवेज स्टडी फ्रॉम द ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट. भाड़े के अदर किसी वेबसाइट पे नहीं जाना है. कहीं पे भी विकीपीडिया हो गया, ये पीडिया हो गया, वो सब नहीं जाना है. ऑलवेज चीज़ों को टाइप करना है, उसके ऑफिशियल देखना है, गवर्नमेंट वेबसाइट हो, ओरिजिनल वेबसाइट हो, उसी पे जाके पढ़ाई करना है. ठीक है, तो ISO के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. इंडिया इज द थर्ड लार्जेस्ट कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड इन इथेनॉल प्रोडक्शन आफ्टर द USA एंड ब्राजील. दिस स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट. सो यहाँ से आप इथेनॉल प्रोडक्शन के मामले में जो रैंकिंग है पूरे वर्ल्ड में आप याद रखें. द फर्स्ट इज USA, देन सेकेंड इज द ब्राजील एंड द थर्ड इज द इथेनॉल. ओके, so that way what do we find? Option C is the correct answer. Okay, so that way we are going to end. Now before I end the class, yesterday there was a question related to, I have asked you to study about that's relation between the rat hole mining and the 6th schedule. So one of the student here has said that NGT has allowed the rat hole mining in Meghalaya. No, दिस इज नॉट द केस. ओके, याद रखना है एनजीटी ने 2014 में अपना एक ऑर्डर दिया था जिसमें कि रैट होल माइनिंग को के ऊपर उसे स्टॉप किया गया था. ठीक है, बट आफ्टर दैट मेघालय गवर्नमेंट हैज चैलेंज दैट ऑर्डर इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट. सुप्रीम कोर्ट में अभी तक एनजीटी के ऑर्डर के ऊपर स्टे नहीं लगाया हुआ है. जब केस का फाइनल वर्डिक्ट आएगा तो किसके फेवर में जाता है, किसके फेवर में नहीं जाता है, वो तो बात का बात है. बट अगर हम प्रेजेंट टाइम के बारे में बात करें, इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द प्रेजेंट सिचुएशन, द मैटर इज इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज नॉट पुट एनी काइंड ऑफ स्टे ऑन द ऑर्डर ऑफ द एनजीटी. सो एज पर एनजीटी ऑर्डर, रैट होल माइनिंग इज इलीगल इन ऑल ओवर इंडिया. मेघालय इज नॉट एन एक्सेप्शन टू इट. हाँ, 6th शेड्यूल का हवाला ही देके मेघालय गवर्नमेंट ने उसे चैलेंज किया है सुप्रीम कोर्ट में. ठीक है, so get it very much clear, there is no such order or exceptional rule for the Meghalaya with respect to the NGT ban order on the rat hole mining. ठीक है, और क्वेश्चन नंबर 10 में कल जो प्रॉब्लम जो हुआ था उसमें ऑप्शन डी आ ही नहीं पाया था. सो दैट इज वाई आई हैव मॉडिफाइड दैट फाइल. वो थोड़ा टाइपोग्राफिकल एरर हुआ था. ओके, आई हैव मॉडिफाइड दैट फाइल एंड इट इज अपलोडेड. कल के क्लासेस में जाके देखना, आपको न्यू फाइल अपलोडेड है, एवरीथिंग इज देयर. और ऑप्शन उसका आंसर जो रहेगा वो रहेगा ऑप्शन बी. ठीक है, सो जो भी आज के क्लास में हुआ है एक बार उसे जरूर रिवाइज करो. जितने मैंने एक्स्ट्रा चीजें बताए हैं उसको जरूर रिवाइज करो, उसके थोड़ा सा उसके बारे में सर्च करो एंड इन दैट वे कीप रीडिंग एंड कीप रिवाइजिंग एंड रिमेंबर, लव व्हाट यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग. ओके, दैट इज द की टू सक्सेस. ओके, थैंक यू.